covering 70% of the Earth's surface, the world's seas and oceans remain a great unknown. Turbulent waters, unpredictable weather, uncharted reefs, and the tedium of the doldrums leave the Great Blue a daunting prospect for the men and women taking part in the Volvo Ocean Race. Established in 1973 and formerly known as the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race, this competition is the pinnacle of offshore team racing. And the recent 12th edition was no different. 7 teams entered, all bidding to become the first to traverse a staggering 40,000-mile, 9-month circumnavigation of the globe. Danish entry Team Vestas Wind had one of the most experienced skippers in 46-year-old Australian Chris Nicholson. Competing in his 4th race, he's been part of the new generation of sailors and skippers who are taking the sport to new levels of speed, complexity, and physical endurance.
It's well and truly in my blood, this race, and it's not, you know, I quite enjoy the fact that I've done 4 races now and I don't need to come back and do it, but I love to come back and do it.
Yet this edition of the race wasn't all plain sailing for Nicholson and his team. After a solid 4th place in the first leg, Vestas were hoping to make gains in leg 2 of the race as the fleet headed from Cape Town, South Africa to the Middle Eastern city of Abu Dhabi. Battling their way across the Indian Ocean, it seemed things were going well. But Team Vestas Wind were on a collision course, straight from the pages of a sailing horror story.
Okay, you can hear me. You guys can hear me. I don't know what's happening. It's not looking good for us.
In the middle of the night, the disorientated crew found themselves stranded on a remote reef known as Cargados Garajos Shoals, some 200 nautical miles northeast of Mauritius. It was a catastrophic mistake, and they faced a harrowing ordeal, holding on tight through the night, fearfully waiting for daylight. As the crisis unfolded, it became clear that the sailors were safe, but the boat was severely damaged. Their closest rival at the time of the accident, Team Alvimedica, were standing by to assist.
We can see Vestas Wind, we believe, aground, and those guys are somewhere 300 or 400 metres this side of that in the raft. We just had a broken radio call from Nico. They're all safe and well.
As the sea began to settle and with the benefit of a clear sky, the team assessed the damage and tried to work out just what had happened the night before.
So you can see out where the waves are breaking was where we initially ran aground. We hit there, the boat spun a 180, and then we basically pounded our way in till the edge, and it probably took 3-4 hours, and we were getting massively smashed around there, and then the bulb finally broke off.
With the Vestas crew safe but stranded, they awaited rescue from support teams, and Alvimedica was cleared to rejoin the race. Despite the air of relief that their fellow competitors were safe and a mood of disbelief at what had happened, the race continued on to Abu Dhabi. After a close race through the Arabian Sea and a nail-biting finish, it was Dutch outfit Team Brunel who won the leg. For pre-race favourite Abu Dhabi Racing and their skipper Ian Walker, there was some disappointment as they could only manage 3rd place into their home port.
I think one of the things about one design racing is that, you know, if you do things right, you're going to do well, and if you make mistakes, you're going to get punished. You have to remind yourself at the end of these long legs what a huge achievement it is, wherever you finish. And for our goal is to be in the top 3, so we've achieved that. So, you know, right now we just need to take stock, but it's been an emotional trip.
As the team spent time in Abu Dhabi with their families, Neil Cox, shore and project manager for Team Vestas Wind, headed out to the shoals to pick up the stranded crew and assess the extensive damage to the boat.
I think as we get closer and closer to the boat, you realise your attachment to the boat and the project even more and more and more. So it's, I'm sure there'll be different emotions as we get there. At the same time, we're also very ready to get on with it. You know, the boat's been on the reef for long enough, and it's time to actually do everything we possibly can to then at least say we can close this chapter in the story for sure.
Accompanying Neil were a team of experts and technicians who started the complicated and dangerous operation of salvaging the hull of the vessel.
It's been big, it's been, I'd have to say, quite emotional, and we can see a much brighter glimmer of hope for the program to be back. This side looks pretty good, the other side's a different story, but you can see from what we've salvaged that it is really possible.
The boat was hauled off the reef to begin a long journey back to Europe, where it was hoped that the hole could be patched up in time for the team to be able to finish the race. For the rest of the fleet, the race continued through the challenging conditions in the waters of southern Asia. Oppressive heat, complex navigation and shipping traffic kept the sailors alert at all times. Spanish team Mapfre took the leg 4 win into Auckland, New Zealand. It marked the halfway point in the race, usually a chance to rest and recuperate. But things are never that simple with the Southern Ocean ahead, and a devastating cyclone sweeping across the Pacific meant that there was a nervous mood in the fleet.
We're obviously monitoring the tropical cyclone Pam very, very carefully. And this for us is a severe situation. I think it's a severe situation for New Zealand as well. And we have to be very prudent in how we react to it.
After a 48-hour delay, the fleet headed out into the tail of the cyclone. Like surfers catching a wave, the sailors tried to catch the strong winds to help speed them across this part of the planet. Sailing the Southern Ocean between New Zealand and the southernmost tip of South America is every sailor's dream. The waters are known for exhilarating high-speed sailing and treacherous conditions. The infamous Cape Horn has been rounded twice already by Englishman Ian Walker in previous editions. But this one was a little sweeter.
Right, just gone past the line of longitude of Cape Horn. We're at 56 south and whatever it is west, I don't know, but it's right there, that's all you need to know, about 6 miles on our port side. Never knew whether I'd get to see it. Last time I came around I was 45 miles offshore and it was the middle of the night. So, as you can see, big smiles.
Team Alvimedica led the fleet around the iconic landmark in a tight pack. Walker and his Abu Dhabi team were in second place, but by the finish in Itajaí, Brazil, Walker's predominantly British crew managed to get their noses in front and take the win, and with it, control of the race. Meanwhile, the Vestas boat had been shipped to a facility in Italy, where it began its own race against the clock to be back on the start line in Lisbon, Portugal, in time for leg 8.
We're going through everything from getting all the deck winch pedestal system back on, main sheet pedestals, and then going right through the rest of the boat. We kind of have a core group of jobs we need to finish before really any systems can be offered up to the boat, which is still a couple of weeks away.
After winning leg 5 through the Southern Ocean and finishing a solid second on leg 6 into Newport, USA, the Abu Dhabi team were in a very strong overall position. Only the Dutch team Brunel and leg 6 Chinese winners Dongfeng race team, led by Frenchman Charles Caudrelier, could make a serious challenge for the title.
At the end, we would have preferred a finish more easy with Abu Dhabi 1 mile behind, but at the end, the fight was fantastic, and because we won it, the victory is amazing.
The next ocean leg was a classic east-west transatlantic voyage from Newport in Rhode Island to the port city of Lisbon. With the race drawing to a conclusion, the teams knew that it would be a leg of tight tactical battles and one-on-one action.
This is probably the most important point of the entire race so far.
Headed to Lisbon from the opposite direction, the repaired Team Vestas boat. It arrived in the Portuguese capital 1 day ahead of leg winners Team Brunel.
We are very, very glad to be back. We're trying to actually remind ourselves to enjoy it, because it is extremely busy and hectic, and you just still got to take time to you know, reflect on the race. Hasn't gone how we wanted, of course, but we've also, you know, I think we've gotten through a lot, gotten through an awful lot to be back here in this position, in as good a position as we can be to rejoin the race.
With the fleet once again intact, the final 2 coastal legs through Europe began. As the boats battled up through the Bay of Biscay to Lorient, France, Nicholson and his Vestas team recorded an extraordinary 2nd place behind women's team SCA. Missing out on the majority of the race, Nicholson could only ponder on what might have been. Abu Dhabi's 3rd place into Lorient all but secured them the overall win, and they sailed a conservative final leg into Gothenburg, Sweden, to be crowned Volvo Ocean Race champions.
Well, it feels good to hold the trophy up. It's been strange because we sort of won it in Lorient, but we knew we had them. We had to still be careful, and we've had this leg where it kind of didn't matter what happened as long as we didn't get disqualified. So it's been a very strange couple of weeks, but it's actually given us a bit of time to think about it. And yeah, nothing prepared for me for lifting that trophy up, and I'm sure we're going to wave it in the air a few more times in the weeks to come.
After 9 years and 3 campaigns, Walker comfortably won the 12th edition of this race. His closest rivals, Charles Cautrelier on Dongfeng and Bauer Becking on Team Brunel, were steamrolled out of contention by the unbeatable consistency of Walker and his team. Subscribe now to our YouTube channel for the very best of Trans World Sports.